A man she obeys without question is a man who possesses unshakable self-control. This isn't about suppressing feelings or pretending not to care. It's about mastering the internal chaos that most people are enslaved by. When the average man is driven by lust, anger, jealousy, or fear, this man stands tall and unmoved. He doesn't let external circumstances dictate his reactions. He doesn't spiral into rage when disrespected, nor does he become overly emotional when he's praised. His emotional landscape is disciplined, calm like a deep river, not still like a stagnant pond, and that calmness is not emptiness, it's power under restraint. It's the result of years of work of sitting alone with uncomfortable emotions, confronting them and stripping them of their control. Women are instinctively drawn to this type of man, not because he is cold or unfeeling, but because his emotional state is not influenced by hers. He does not mirror her mood swings. He does not react when tested. He watches, he studies, and when he responds, it's with purpose. That self-control becomes a form of dominance, not the kind that intimidates through force, but the kind that commands through certainty. She knows she cannot rattle him. She cannot manipulate his responses. She cannot break him out of character, and because of that, she feels safe in his presence, safe to let go of her chaos, her indecision, her emotional volatility. He becomes the grounding force she didn't know she needed. The more self-controlled he is, the more she relaxes into her feminine nature. Her guard comes down, her instincts submit, and that submission doesn't come from fear, it comes from admiration. It comes from trust, because deep down a woman does not want to lead a man emotionally. She wants to feel that he can handle her in her most emotional states without being consumed by them. She wants to feel that he can protect not just her physical body, but her emotional storms as well. And the only way he earns that level of trust and obedience is by proving, through silence, through patience, through unwavering control, that he will never be her emotional puppet. He will never be dragged into chaos. He will stand firm, stoic, and steady, no matter how loud the world becomes. And that, more than anything, is what makes her listen. That, more than charm or status or good looks, is what makes her follow without resistance. Because a man who has mastered himself is the only man truly fit to lead others. The man she obeys without question is a man who knows his mission and understands that she is not the mission. This is a concept that most men completely misunderstand. They center their entire lives around the pursuit of a woman, chasing her approval, sacrificing their time, energy, and dreams just to gain her attention. But this man, he's different. His life is already filled with purpose. His day is already structured. His goals are already set in motion. Whether she enters or exits, he remains on course. He is driven by a vision far bigger than romance. He has work to do, a legacy to build, a code to follow. And that unwavering focus is what makes her respect him, because a woman will never follow a man whose direction depends on her mood. She wants to feel that if she were to vanish tomorrow, this man would not collapse. He would continue building. He would continue leading. He would continue rising. That sense of detachment is not cruelty. It's maturity, it's discipline, it's spiritual sovereignty, and it's terrifying to most women at first because they're used to being the center of a man's world. They're used to being pursued relentlessly, to being made the prize. But this man redefines the game. He doesn't chase her. He invites her to walk alongside him. And if she lags behind, he doesn't slow down. If she disrespects the mission, he lets her go. That cold resolve, that brutal clarity, sends a shock through her system. It activates something primal, because deep down she wants a man who doesn't need her, but chooses her. A man who doesn't orbit her world, but instead pulls her into his gravity. That gravitational pull only exists because his mission is bigger than her. His identity is rooted in purpose, not validation. He doesn't need her affection to feel valuable. He earns his own worth through progress, and that progress is visible. She sees it in the way he wakes up early. She hears it in the way he speaks about his goals. She watches it in the way he moves through life with intention. Every step he takes has meaning. Every decision is strategic. He doesn't waste energy on distractions, and he doesn't bend for temptation. Even when he desires her, he never makes her his purpose. That separation is what makes her respect him. She realizes he's not addicted to her attention. He's addicted to achievement. He's not distracted by love. He's focused on conquest. And if she wants to stay, she must learn to add value to his life, not demand that he shrink to fit hers. She must become an asset, not a liability, because he will not carry her. He will not slow down for her. He will not abandon the mission for comfort. She obeys this man because she understands that his leadership is not about controlling her. It's about guiding both of them towards something greater. She knows that aligning with him means stepping into discipline, not fantasy, into order, not chaos, into a future that is built, not begged for, and that is why she follows, not because he asks her to, but because she cannot imagine walking anywhere else. He commands respect, not attention. This distinction is monumental, yet so many men get it wrong. They believe that being seen equates to being valued, that if they dress flashy, speak loudly, or showcase their material success, women will automatically see them as high status. But the truth is that the man she obeys doesn't seek to be seen. He is simply noticed, and there's a vast difference. While others are performing for approval, he's radiating something deeper, something raw and undeniable, presence. His presence doesn't come from his clothes, his car, or the size of his wallet. It comes from the way he carries himself. His spine is straight, not because he's posing, but because he stands on principle. His eyes don't dart around seeking validation. They lock in, assess, and move on. He isn't trying to win the room, yet the room adjusts itself when he walks in. There's a certain silence in him that roars louder than the noise of desperate men. It's in the way he listens without interrupting, the way he pauses before speaking, the way his words are laced with calm certainty instead of emotional need. That aura makes people lean in, not because he demands attention, but because people feel they might miss something important if they don't. Women, especially, are hypersensitive to these cues. They've evolved over millennia to detect leadership not by what a man says but by how a man moves . The man she obeys doesn't seek her gaze. He doesn't dance for her compliments. He doesn't collapse into flattery just to keep her around. She respects him because he respects himself far too much to sell his dignity for approval. And it's that silent self-respect that makes her feel something far more powerful than attraction. She feels awe. He is not desperate to be liked. He is content being misunderstood. He will speak his mind even if it makes her uncomfortable, and he won't sugarcoat truth to spare feeling. Because truth to him is not a weapon, it's a compass. It guides everything he does. She senses this. She notices that he doesn't change based on who is watching. He doesn't suddenly become bolder around men or softer around women. He is consistent. That consistency builds trust. That trust builds submission. She knows that when this man speaks, he means it. When he sets a boundary, it won't move just because she pouts. When he says he'll walk away, he will. And that reliability makes her surrender in a way she's never experienced with men who crave attention. Attention. Seeking men live in reaction. They shape themselves based on others' desires. But this man lives by intention. He doesn't react to the world. He shapes it. And while others might see his lack of emotional performance as cold, she knows its maturity, its groundedness, its security. He's not trying to prove anything because he already knows who he is. He has nothing to prove, only standards to uphold. And if those standards repel shallow people, he doesn't mind. He's not afraid to be alone, because he'd rather walk his path in solitude than compromise it for popularity. This kind of power cannot be faked. It is cultivated. It is earned through discipline, through loss, through the deliberate destruction of the need to be validated. He doesn't beg for her time, he doesn't compete with other men, and he doesn't rely on seduction tactics. He simply is. And his very asterisk being asterisk commands attention without needing to chase it. That's why women follow him, not because he asked, but because he gave them no choice. His respect is rare. His attention is selective. His time is precious, and once she realizes that being in his orbit is not something he offers to just anyone, she begins to shift. She quiets, she listens. She becomes more receptive, not out of fear, but out of recognition that this man is unlike the rest, that this man does not crave the spotlight because he is the light, that this man does not audition for the role of alpha, he simply leads effortlessly. And in that silent, focused, grounded presence, she finds herself obeying, not because he shouted, begged, or manipulated, but because her soul felt the weight of something real, something she couldn't ignore, something she didn't want to lose. He is emotionally stoic, but intellectually deep. This is the kind of man who understands that emotions are not to be avoided, but they must be mastered. He doesn't suppress his emotions out of fear. He refines them out of principle. He doesn't break down in front of others, not because he lacks the capacity to feel, but because he respects the power of emotion too much to throw it around carelessly. His emotional state is not for public consumption. While most men have been conditioned to overshare in the name of vulnerability or to use their trauma as currency for sympathy, this man knows the difference between openness and recklessness. He reveals selectively. He reveals with intention, and that intentional silence is what separates him from the crowd. A woman may not immediately understand him, but she feels something beneath the surface that she can't quite articulate. There's depth in his gaze, there's tension in his quiet. She knows he's felt pain, but he carries it with discipline. She knows he has thoughts, but he does not need to speak them all to be understood. When he does speak, however, he speaks with precision. His words are not just emotionally restrained. They are intellectually sharp. He listens first. He watches. He reads the environment. He speaks when it adds value, not when it simply fills silence. And in a world where many men speak to impress or entertain, his speech becomes a disruption to the noise. His intelligence is not just academic. It is rooted in lived experience, in observation, in brutal self-reflection. He's read books, yes, but more than that, he's watched people. He's understood patterns, he's questioned assumptions, and because of that, when he opens his mouth, women listen, not because he's loud, but because his words carry weight. His thoughts are layered, philosophical, grounded. He can explain the chaos of the world in a way that calms the mind. He can dissect an emotional moment and expose the truth inside it with surgical precision. And because he doesn't chase emotional highs or lows, he brings a rare kind of peace to any woman in his presence. This man is not emotionally reactive, and that creates a powerful dynamic. Women instinctively test men. Sometimes knowingly, sometimes unconsciously. They provoke, they push, they challenge, to see what's real, to test the foundation. But this man doesn't bite, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't match her chaos with chaos. If she yells, he stays calm. If she plays games, he disengages. If she becomes emotional, he doesn't try to fix it. He listens, he observes, and he decides. He understands that most emotional outbursts are not attacks. They are expressions of a need. And rather than overreacting or getting defensive, he stays grounded. That kind of emotional restraint in the face of pressure is not common. It's intimidating, but it's also magnetic. She realizes quickly that this man cannot be manipulated through guilt, through drama, through seduction. He's already done the inner work. He knows his own worth. He's not looking to be rescued or mothered or babied. He's whole, and that wholeness is what makes him truly dangerous, in the best way, because he is not desperate for love. He doesn't rely on a woman to heal his wounds or fill his emptiness. He enjoys connection, but he does not need it to validate himself. His emotions are governed, his mind is sharp, and his soul is intact. And in a culture that encourages emotional dependence and instant gratification, he becomes the rare exception. The man who can listen to a woman cry and not fall apart. The man who can handle her complexity without trying to simplify her. The man who can remain deeply present in a conversation without becoming emotionally entangled in every word. This stoicism doesn't make him distant. It makes him trustworthy. She knows he won't explode, he won't ghost, he won't emotionally collapse just because something becomes difficult. He is a rock, a foundation, a steady current beneath the chaos, and his intellectual depth adds another layer to that strength. He's not just emotionally composed, he's intellectually expansive. He can lead with logic. He can challenge her beliefs, not to dominate her, but to elevate her. He asks questions that unravel her surface-level thinking. He brings ideas to the table that force her to reevaluate her own patterns. And he doesn't preach, he explores. That sense of mental adventure is intoxicating to a woman who's tired of shallow conversations and emotional instability. With this man, she doesn't just feel understood. She feels seen. Not in a romanticized, poetic way, but in a rare, grounding way. Her mind is respected. Her intelligence is challenged. Her emotions are not indulged, but understood. That combination of stoic presence and intellectual sharpness creates an environment where obedience isn't demanded, it's offered. Freely, fully, and without resistance, because she knows she's not following a man who is emotionally reckless or mentally lazy. She's following a man who has conquered both his feelings and his thoughts. He is unapologetically masculine in both energy and presence, not in the caricatured sense of being hyper, aggressive or emotionally distant, but in the timeless, grounded embodiment of masculine essence, a steady force that provides structure, direction, and protection. This type of man does not need to proclaim his masculinity to be recognized. It emanates from him in every word, every step, every decision. He is assertive without being hostile, dominant without being domineering, protective without being possessive. His masculinity is not something he performs. It is something he is asterisk. And that deeply rooted identity creates a polarity so powerful that women instinctively respond to it, not with competition or defiance, but with softness, surrender, and ultimately obedience. Masculinity, when refined and authentic, naturally invites feminine energy to relax. It allows her to breathe, to trust, to feel secure in his leadership. This is because true masculinity represents order, certainty, and direction in a world full of noise, confusion, and instability. The man she obeys isn't just confident in what he wants. He embodies it. His walk has intention. His posture holds conviction. His handshake is firm but not aggressive. His voice is calm but unmistakably grounded. He doesn't need to raise his tone to assert authority. His presence speaks for him, and that presence alone causes others to lean in. It makes her pause, listen, watch. She begins to sense that she's not dealing with a man who needs her approval to feel like a man. He's already earned his own respect through his actions, his trials, his scars. This man operates from a deep internal code. His masculinity is disciplined, not chaotic. He does not allow lust to dictate his behavior. He doesn't chase women like a hungry boy seeking validation. He remains in control of his desires, and ironically, that control makes him infinitely more desirable. She knows that he wants her, but she also knows he would never trade his integrity just to have her. That self-respect is intoxicating to a woman who has encountered far too many men willing to abandon their standards in pursuit of temporary pleasure. He doesn't rely on manipulation, charm, or tactics to gain her interest. He doesn't need to. His masculinity is not performative. It is solid, ancient, rooted in something far deeper than trends or societal expectations. He takes responsibility for himself and his environment. He doesn't blame others for his problems. He doesn't make excuses. When things go wrong, he adapts, recalibrates, and moves forward. This unwavering sense of accountability is incredibly masculine. It signals to a woman that if she were to follow this man, she would be safe, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, not because he promises her a perfect life, but because he shows her that he can handle adversity without collapsing. He doesn't panic under pressure. He doesn't fold in the face of resistance. Instead, he becomes more focused, more strategic, more relentless. That composure under stress, that resilience in the face of challenge, builds her respect more than anything else ever could. He also embodies masculine leadership, not just in his career or in finances, but in the relationship dynamic itself. He leads with vision. He doesn't wait for her to decide what the relationship is. He defines it. He initiates plans. He makes decisions. He takes the burden of responsibility off her shoulders and places it onto his own. That doesn't mean he doesn't listen or value her input. On the contrary, he creates a space where she feels heard, but he still makes the final call, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity, and she obeys because she wants too. Because she's tired of being forced to lead in her previous relationships, tired of carrying emotional and logistical weight. With him, she can finally lean back. She can trust his judgment, not because he demands it, but because he's proven that he deserves it. She sees his masculinity in how he moves through the world, how he sets boundaries without drama, how he protects without controlling, how he provides without bragging, how he loves without losing himself. He is not afraid to take up space, and yet he's not threatened by her taking up space too. His masculinity is secure enough to honor her femininity, not suppress it. And the more he lives in alignment with that masculine essence, the more she naturally aligns with her feminine. Her defensiveness drops. Her anxiety fades. Her inner chaos begins to soften in the warmth of his direction. He doesn't just make her feel wanted. He makes her feel safe to be fully herself. And from that safety arises something far more rare and powerful than lust or infatuation. Genuine loyalty, genuine obedience, because in him she sees what every woman quietly longs for: a man strong enough to lead, steady enough to trust, and masculine enough to follow. He is decisive and unapologetically firm in his convictions. This man does not hesitate when faced with choices, because he has already done the inner work to understand who he is, what he stands for, and where he is going. Indecisiveness is a sign of inner chaos, a sign that a man is still searching for external guidance, approval, or permission to act. But this man has already set the compass of his life. He doesn't look left and right to see what others are doing before he moves forward. He decides. He executes. He lives with the consequences, whether victory or failure, because he understands that ownership of outcomes is the mark of a true man. This decisiveness is rare in a modern world where most people delay choices, overthink, procrastinate, and seek constant reassurance before making a move. But this man doesn't fear failure. He fears stagnation. He fears indecision. He fears becoming passive in the face of opportunity, and that clarity of direction is what makes him magnetic. A woman instinctively obeys a man who makes decisions with confidence, not because she is incapable of deciding for herself, but because being in the presence of a man who knows what he wants, and acts on it with calm certainty, allows her to rest. She doesn't have to overthink, plan every detail, or worry about whether he's got it handled. She senses that he's capable of leading not just himself, but the entire situation. Whether it's choosing a restaurant or planning a life path, he does so with vision, and that vision is grounded in logic, foresight, and courage, not emotion, impulse, or fear. He doesn't wait for things to happen. He initiates. He doesn't wait for her to express needs that are obvious. He anticipates them. And when the time comes to draw lines in the sand, to say no, to end something toxic, or to walk away from what no longer serves him, he does so without emotional theatrics. His boundaries are clear. His actions align with his words. His yes means yes, and his no means no. This firmness in decision-making isn't just about the external world. It shows up in how he lives his values. This is a man who doesn't betray his principles for convenience. He has made hard choices, walked away from money, status, comfort, even people, because they didn't align with his integrity. And he wears that sacrifice like a badge, not to impress others, but as a reminder to himself that he will not sell his soul for temporary gain. That internal alignment gives him a rare kind of peace. He sleeps well at night, knowing that he lives truthfully. A woman can feel that truth in his presence. She sees that he cannot be swayed by flattery or seduced by pressure. He's not trying to please the world. He's trying to live in alignment with his core, and that alignment makes him immovable in the best way. While other men bend and break under the weight of indecision or public opinion, he stands. She obeys him because his certainty gives her stability. His decisiveness becomes a fortress. In a world full of weak men who fold under feminine intensity, he holds his frame. He doesn't argue for the sake of ego. He doesn't waver just because emotions are high. He remains still, deliberate, collected. And when he does change his mind, it's not because he's been manipulated. It's because new information has entered his system, and he's recalculated based on reason, not emotion. That makes her feel not just heard, but understood. Because even though he is firm, he is not rigid. He's not authoritarian, he's authoritative. He leads with wisdom, not control, and wisdom knows when to hold and when to shift. His decisiveness also extends to relationships. He doesn't enter a woman's life unsure. He doesn't play games, send mixed signals, or withhold affection out of fear. When he chooses a woman, he chooses her fully. He doesn't need her to convince him of her worth. He's already assessed it, and once chosen, she knows he's not still shopping around for something better. That assurance frees her to trust him, to open herself, to let go of the protective armor she wears around men who are indecisive, flaky, or emotionally inconsistent. She begins to follow not because she's weak, but because she finally sees strength worth following. This kind of man makes decisions in silence. He doesn't need a committee. He doesn't post every step online for validation. He doesn't ask permission from the world. He consults his conscience. He reflects in solitude. He makes hard calls because he's aiming for something higher than comfort. He's aiming for alignment. He understands that indecision kills more dreams than failure ever could. And for that reason, he acts swiftly, wisely, and without apology. She doesn't need him to explain himself over and over again. She sees the results of his decisions, and she respects the process behind them. She senses that this man isn't guessing his way through life. He's sculpting it with intent. And if she wants to be part of it, she must follow his lead, not out of submission to a man, but submission to a vision that's already in motion, a vision that won't slow down to accommodate uncertainty, a vision that demands participation, not hesitation, a vision that only a real man can carry, and only a real woman can support. So in a world flooded with noise, indecision, emotional volatility, and performative masculinity, this man stands out, not because he demands authority, but because he embodies it. He does not beg for obedience, he inspires it. A woman obeys this kind of man not because she is weak, but because she finally sees someone strong enough to lead without ego, guide without manipulation, and love without losing himself. His presence calms her, his words ground her, his vision ignites her. And in following him, she does not lose her power. She channels it. Because the truth is, the right man doesn't strip a woman of her strength. He gives her the freedom to rest in it, trust it, and direct it towards something greater than both of them. That is the kind of man she obeys without question.